Bleep number 6, Ron DeSantis says Florida shouldn't require unanimous juries for death sentences. DeSantis says Florida should not require unanimous juries for death sentences. Now, to clarify, he does not mean for the conviction. He means for the sentence that's carried out after the I want to clear that, because when I first read it, I was like, for conviction for first-degree murder or something like that. No, it's for the sentence. Still don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, terrible
at
idea.
all.
While addressing a gathering of law enforcement officers on Monday, Ron DeSantis said he hopes to change state law to make it easier to execute convicted criminals. Calling it one of the things we have to address, DeSantis said that a supermajority of jurors ought to be sufficient to sentence someone to death. If just one juror vetoes it, then you end up not getting the sentence. DeSantis said, maybe 8 out of 12 have to agree or something, but we can't be in a situation where one person can just derail this. DeSantis was expressing his frustration with the decision of a jury in November to sentence Nicholas Cruz, who killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018, to life in prison rather than handing down the death penalty. Now, I used to be, an advocate for the death penalty. I used to say, like, an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Like if you...
Well, personally, that is still what I believe. I just don't trust the government to do it.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's 100% the problem. And we've seen over and over and over again, and the stats play out. We know that at least 30%, I think it's 30%.
It was a lot. I know they've had, hundreds overturned, and who knows how many people actually got executed.
So that means we've killed people who did nothing, which is so wrong. I mean, could you imagine? Like, imagine yourself or your family member in that position, and the state kills them, and then what's the repercussion on that? Nothing.
I also, they use DNA on that stuff. I still wouldn't go with the death penalty for a DNA case where they have DNA somewhere, because it is the government who is gathering the evidence and putting it out in trial against you. And I don't trust them to deliver my gall-darn mail. All right? So I don't trust them to gather evidence that could take someone's life away from
every
them.
time we have a package delayed in Amazon, it's usually being shipped by USPS.
Yeah.
Every time. Like 2-day shipping, it's like, oh, there was a delay. And you notice right on there it says being delivered by USPS.
Like,
every time.
That's not a delay.
Yeah.
They're trying to cut back
those people to kill people? They can't even deliver the mail.
Yeah, I do not agree with postal workers being able to do death sentences. I don't think that would be a good idea. The thing is, we don't agree with it in the first place. And now he's saying that it shouldn't take the entire jury to give someone a death sentence. And I get that that's the actual sentence. There's another jury's already convicted the person. Or I guess it's the same jury, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works in Florida.
I think sometimes, I think most of the time it's the same jury, but who knows? I don't want to say anything too far off.
In some states, the sentencing is solely up to the judge.
Yeah, that's true. But here's what I want. I want time, like, you could find out that the government planted evidence. There's been Innocence Project documentaries where they found that people planted evidence. There's different documentaries on Netflix where
we still don't know what's going on with making a murderer.
I've never watched that. I don't know what's
what.
Yeah, still never watched it. There's
Talk
still stuff where people in the government, investigators, have actually had to go to prison for a couple of years because they found that they planted evidence in places. So I don't even trust the DNA evidence. And I could do life in prison with that, I guess, because you could find out eventually that the person planted evidence. You know
how we could have a death penalty?
How's that?
If the prosecutors and the jury and the judge get it wrong and they kill an innocent person and it's later proven that they do, then they get the death penalty. So you could only do it if you're like 100% sure.
Then that's like an eye for a lot of eyes.
I mean,
a bunch of them. But
you'd have to be willing to take that risk.
It does lay out a pretty good incentive structure.
I mean, I think that's the best.
I'm not entirely against it.
I am so confident that you are the one who killed all these kids in this school that I'm willing to risk my own life on being wrong. I think that's the only fair way to do it.
And there is a problem when you have a video of something, like that this guy, Cruz, was the person who killed a bunch of people at Stoneman Douglas High School.
Which is terrible.
We know that.
It's, an awful
Does
tragedy.
the guy deserve to die? Yes, and I hope he burns in hell. All right, but still, you can't do it for him because then you open the door up to all sorts of other malarkey out there, which they already do it in Florida and a lot of other states. We know that. But I guess we're just arguing against the death penalty. They still have the death penalty in Florida. He's not arguing to reinstate the death penalty. He just wants to make it easier.
I just think someone has to take the other side of the bet. I'm serious.
It's a good idea. I like it.
Then I think you would truly only basically get those that are like 128,000% confident.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think in this case, there would be people willing to put their life on the line to say, yeah, I really think that this guy did it. And
it'd be tough to figure out, to make sure, if you found out someone was innocent, it'd be tough to incentivize anyone to work towards proving whether or not someone was actually innocent or guilty, because there'd be a lot of people riding on that decision, making sure that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, hey, it's an idea.
No, I mean it lays out the proper some of the proper incentive structures for sure. Okay,
honestly, we should just go back to old-fashioned dueling.